to Anirux channel. I'm your host AllegraDX. And in this video I will tell you interesting facts about snails. Number 1. There are over 40,000 different types of snails. While many people picture garden snails when they think of snails, there are a lot more than just those out there in the world. In fact, there are over 40,000 distinct species of snails. They vary in size, colors, and even location. Snails can range anywhere from less than 1 inch in size to over 15 inches in size. They can also live in many different habitats, both on dry land and in water. While the exact number is unknown, it has been said that there is at least a minimum of 43,000 in the world today. And this doesn't even include slugs. Number 2. They can live in seawater, freshwater, or on land. Some of the more common snails can be found on land, as well as some of the more exotic species, but there are also snails that can live in seawater and freshwater. Sea snails are composed of an exceptionally large group of snails that live in salt water, and they also have several varieties within themselves. These snails can also have very colorful shells that are often disguised as a rock in the water, a perfect disguise to hide away from predators. Freshwater snails are a large group of snails that live in ponds, lakes, and rivers. Not only do they have gills, but they also have a range of sizes, much like land snails. There are roughly 4,000 distinct species of freshwater snails in the world. Land snails, on the other hand, have a much larger group, and tend to grow quite big as well. Number 3. They are not mammals or reptiles. Snails are called gastropods. Gastropods are a form of mollusk that includes snails, slugs, and whelks. It is one of the most diverse groups of organisms, home to over 40,000 distinct species. They also belong to the invertebrate class, a group of organisms that do not have a spine or skeletal system. Therefore, the shell of a snail is so important. It serves as a home, a defense mechanism, and as a form of protection for their fragile bodies. Number 4. Their shells grow with them. Every snail has a shell, and unlike many other shelled creatures, snails do not discard their shells and form new ones. In fact, as snails grow, their shells grow with them. Their growth begins while they are still inside of the egg, and when they are born, they already have their shells. To make their shells strong, snails are constantly in search of calcium-rich food sources, to produce a strong and sturdy shell for their fragile bodies to grow into. Number 5. The giant African land snail is one of the largest snails in the world. The biggest snail in the world is a land snail. It is a giant African snail, and it can grow over 7 inches in size, with the largest specimen being measured at just over 15 inches. They have large, light to dark shells with vertical dark stripes on them. These snails are considered an invasive species, feeding off at least 500 diverse types of plants. Number 6. Slugs and snails have one main difference. Structurally and biologically, slugs and snails have many similar features, though you may be confused how to tell them apart. The main difference between a slug versus snail is their lack of a shell. Because of the lighter load, slugs can also move slightly faster than snails. Number 7. They have teeth, many teeth. While snails may have tiny mouths, they still have teeth. A lot of them. In fact, it is said that some snails have over 20,000 teeth, while the average snail can have up to or over 1,000. These teeth are practically microscopic, and obviously aren't very sharp when compared to other animals, but they are used for both scraping or cutting food. Their teeth form inside a structure in their mouths called a radula, an elongated sac that grows several rows of tiny snail teeth. How cute is that? Number 8. The snail is one of the slowest animal. As a matter of fact, it is one of the top 10 slowest creatures on the planet. Did you know that garden snails can only move 1 meter per hour? A speed of approximately 0.0006 miles per hour. Because they have poor eyesight, they spend most of their time on trees, and thus, do not move much, making them one of the world's slowest animals. Garden snails or land snails, unlike slugs or land snails, have a thick coiled shell on their back that causes them to move slowly. They can only get to a few yards in an hour. Garden snails move by contracting their muscles. They also like to hide from sunlight, which allows them to hibernate for years. Number 9. Keeping a pet snail is relatively low maintenance. If you're thinking about keeping snails as pets, you'd be glad to know that it's fairly easy. All you'd really need is a terrarium or an aquarium, depending on the kind of snail you want, and food. Ideally, snails feed on any fruits or vegetables. However, be careful not to feed them any citrus, because they're highly sensitive to acid. Number 10. The oldest fully preserved snail dates back to 99 million years ago. Although scientists believe that snails may have been around 500 million years back, the most complete snail fossil dates back to 99 million years ago. Recovered from Myanmar in 2018, the fossil preserved a prehistoric land snail's shell, hand, eye stalk, and foot in amber. Since fossils would usually only preserve the shell, this was a historic find.